guys, today we are working on part 2 of drawing in our portrait. Okay, last time I worked on getting the outer lines here done. So I got the basic places of where like my face, my hair, my mask, and everything goes. Okay, and I do have my picture printed off here so that you guys can see the picture reference that I'm working from. However, today I'm also going to have the original photo in Google Drawings up on my screen so that I can see that, just because two reasons really. One, the resolution is a lot better, so you can see the details better, or at least I can see the details better. But second of all, it also makes it easier. This picture is a lot darker than it actually should be. So, for example, on my shirt in the original picture, you can see like the wrinkles of my sleeve, but this one it's really hard to tell. Like it's very, very dark. So I have this here so you guys can see what's going on, but I'm also going to pull up my picture on Google so that I can see a little bit better of what's going on. Okay, so today I'm going to be working on adding some texture to my hair and really working on this space down here. And then I'm going to be working on adding in my eyebrows and my eyes and probably some of the texture on my shirt as well if I have time for that for this video. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and work on my hair first. And I'm just going to add a tiny bit of texture up here, just some of the main strands. So again, I'm not coloring this whole thing in. I don't want you to color this whole thing in. I want you to draw just what shapes you see, okay? So if you have curly hair or wavy hair, it can be a little bit challenging, but just draw whatever it is that you're actually seeing. Try not to make it super scribbly. Sometimes when people are coloring in hair, they like to just either do this or they like to do this for curly hair, but that literally looks like one really long hair that's been curled up, right? So you want to look more specifically at like the texture, does the hair kind of have a little curl that I can see that goes this way here, and then is there like part of a curl that's coming from behind that one that goes this way, or whatever else. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, we'll start up here. So I'm going to be adding just a couple of lines. So the first thing is that my hair, of course, starts at my part. So I'm going to kind of bring this up here. Okay, and then while I'm drawing this, I'm paying attention to, so I have two main hairs that I'm just going to kind of draw towards the front for the texture up here. And I think this one that's closer to my part is the one that's taller, so I'm going to keep that in mind as I'm going. And it hits about right here, so. Right, and I'm just keeping this loosey-goosey on my paper. That way if it's weird or later on I decide that I actually had the wrong placement all along and I totally hate it, it's a very easy thing to erase. Okay, and then over here, it looks like it's much closer. It hits kind of down here. So I'm gonna bring this down this way, and then it kind of comes down here. Like so, and then it kind of just gets lost into the rest of the hair on this side. Okay, now I'm going to add in over here on this side. Okay, so this one is pretty close to that same piece, and it doesn't go up nearly as high. It goes maybe about here. Okay, and then it kind of actually becomes this line right here. And so that's just kind of where I'm going to have it for now. Yeah. I'm going to chunk this out just a little bit more. So when I say that, I'm actually just going to add a second line here just to make it into kind of an actual shape. So then when I'm shading, I know, hey, this is kind of a lighter color, and then these areas are a little bit darker. Just something for future me, something I'll appreciate. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and add some more stuff down here. Okay, so I'm going to slide this up a little bit. Okay. let's see. So I have this part right here, which is part of my shirt or my dress or whatever I'm wearing in this picture. And then I have this kind of line right here where my hair goes that kind of like ran out of space basically. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to kind of just, it's really kind of fuzzy through here and it's kind of hard to see. So honestly, what's going to happen for me in this section is that I'm going to be relying on shading for this part to show this. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of get this basic area of where the hair goes without drawing all of these individual hairs. Okay, just so I have a general idea of where I'm going to be shading this at. Okay, so it looks like this. Okay, and then I'm looking here. So coming up here, and I have the front part of my hair kind of angles down this way. Let me scoot this over so you can see better. So this part here angles down this way, and then this part here kind of flares out to the side. Do you see how that is? So I'm going to draw that in while I'm working on this. Okay, so this piece kind of comes down here, and I'm not necessarily going to draw a full line. I'm just going to kind of let it, it's not actually connected, but it's all right. Okay, so in this section right here, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, good. Just making sure. It kind of angles down. And then in the section below, it starts kind of going to the side here. Okay, like this. And it meets kind of down here. Right, so I have this line that kind of comes down here. I have another line over here that kind of appears like right out here. And then this one goes a little bit further out this way. I'm gonna ignore this line for now. That was that hair that I drew like way back when. Okay, so this one, so I'm looking at this little section right here. And this one kind of comes down a little bit further. And goes this way as well. Okay. And then, so I have this kind of section right here done, right? So these hairs kind of angle this way. This hair right here comes straight down a little bit more and then curls over. So it's kind of what this line is indicating, right? So it's not a full shape, it's just a line. And that's because I'm gonna have lots of lines for my hair. But I do wanna go ahead and kind of draw in this like darker shape right here. So that's going to look like, hold on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and it is going to, let's see if I can lighten up the camera a little bit for you guys. All right, so it's in this section right here, and it kind of, it's like a, if I were to only look in this square, it kind of looks like a weird triangular situation here like this. And then down here, it kind of comes over along this way. And this again is just so later I know, hey, that's a little bit of a darker area, so I need to be cognizant of that. Okay, and then I have some hair that kind of angles around here. So I'm going to draw, this one kind of goes out this way, and it's going to hit this outer part. Out like this. Right, and this is what kind of forms this along here. Okay, so then I have these hairs that are going down this way. Okay, and then I have this kind of like weird curl situation going on here. This is going to be so much fun to draw. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I have that little bit of hair there. I'm going to move over one, right? So this is kind of where I'm at. And then I'm going to draw, I have this hair that kind of comes over here like this. Like so. Okay, and then I do have some like fuzziness of hairs here. Again, it's kind of harder to see in this picture. Luckily, I have my original popped up so I can see it a little bit more easily. I'm going to scroll this up a little bit though. All right. And then, so this chunk of hair right here is what I'm drawing in next. And it hits right about here, kind of comes down, and goes almost into this one, but not quite. It's very, very close, right? And it kind of looks like it angles under just a little bit, like this. Okay, and then I have this piece that kind of comes here and angles that way. Okay, and again, whenever I start adding in, when I start shading things in, this is going to make a lot more sense. Right now, I'm just kind of getting the basic tendrils down. And then remember, this piece right here is just kind of a darker area that I have in my hair that you can see right here. Okay, and honestly, I feel like maybe that needs to be a little bit thinner. And that is based off of my digital version of this picture, not my printed version. Because remember, the printed version is a little bit whack. Okay, now this hair down here, all kind of, so I have this like little split here, and it angles out right about here or so, kind of like this. Okay, and then I kind of have this piece here, right, and then it kind of comes down. And oof. Right about here, right? So I kind of have this weird hair section right here. Okay, so I'm just gonna roll with that for now. Okay, I'm gonna work on this inner part right over here. Okay, so I started on this side, it kind of gets weird, and then I have these hairs that come along here, and this one kind of, I say that, it's kind of, I have a line that kind of comes through here and angles down this way like this. Okay, and so I'm just kind of working through this. You guys will do the same thing for yours, and then it kind of comes back here and curls down. So do you guys see how I'm putting a lot of time and attention into my hair specifically? Okay, I want you guys to do the same thing for your hair, right? You might not have as much hair as I do, so it might be a lot easier for you to work with. Okay, and if that's the case, awesome. If that's not the case, I'm gonna come back and fix that. I don't like that, I've decided. But if you don't have a lot of hair, then you don't have to spend as much time on this. But if you do happen to have a lot of hair, hopefully this is helping you out. So I have this basic shape here, and I'm going to leave this here for now, just because I have this basic, like I'll go ahead and put in a couple of contour lines, just so I know I have this like kind of hair thing going this way, and then I have hair going like this. Okay, so I'm feeling pretty good about my hair over here on this side, except for this section, which I will probably come back and fix later because it's bugging me right now. And then I do have a spot over here that I want to make sure I have that is correct. So my neck on my lighter picture is actually more visible. So here's my line. It's actually more visible here. So it kind of comes like this here, right? And then this section right here is just kind of like, I have this weird hair thing. I don't know if you guys have seen my hair. It is its own thing sometimes, right? So I have this kind of weird hair thing right here, and this area right here is a little darker. All right, so I'm feeling pretty good about this. Other than this part right here, I'll come back to that and fix it in a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and focus on this side of my hair now. So I'm gonna switch you places over here. Let's see if we can still see that okay. Kind of bring this over here a little bit. Awesome. Okay, so I am looking at this side of my hair now. And so one of the first things I want to do is I want to kind of start up here again, right? And I have like this little darker area that's here, and that's because of a shadow. Okay, but not too crazy of a shadow. So I'm just going to add in just a tiny bit of texture here. So I'm going to kind of come down here a little bit, like this. Okay, and it looks like this line here, actually, I think that whenever I was sketching this out, I was looking more at the shadow that I have. Okay, so I'm actually going to draw a little higher here. And then this line kind of comes down. So this line right here kind of comes out to the wider edge. So it's more like this. Right, so my hair is kind of coming back like this. And remember, we're just looking at the picture to help tell us what to do. Okay, so I'm kind of drawing this section right here. Right, so I have this kind of line right here going on for this section, and then notice it kind of curls in this way. Okay, so I'm going to make sure that I have that going on. It hits the top of this line right here before it starts to kind of fold back in. So I'm going to start sketching the outside part of this, and it hits right about here. Right, and then it comes through this area right here. And again, I'm still using my grid to help me with the direction of my hair to make sure I have the right volume to it. And then it kind of comes down this way and just blends into everything else. Right, so I'm going to bring this piece down right here. Okay, this is also helpful because this particular piece that I'm sketching in is pretty light in my hair, so whenever I'm drawing, it'll be easier for me to be like, oh yeah, that's that one hair. Okay, and then the rest of this hair just kind of is going through here and angling this way. Okay, and then from here, I'm going to kind of draw on some of my texture that I have here. So this part of my hair, I kind of have a piece that folds in front here like this. And it comes down here like this. Okay, so this kind of blends into here. Whoops, don't throw your pencil, guys. This part, you know, and again, it's a little shaky for now, but it'll be okay. And then this hair right here kind of does this like weird thing where like it wants to curl in, but then this hair down here is like, what's up? So this piece kind of comes down here and follows this down this way. Just like that, right? And then I kind of have this situation over here. And so right now I'm just kind of adding in the general lines of where my hair goes. Okay, just like this. And then it goes all the way. So I'm at the bottom of my picture here. And again, it's kind of hard to see just because of how it's printed. But I do have a couple pieces that kind of come down like this here. And then it kind of just angles this way. And then it goes this way here. Okay, so I have some like pretty realistic looking hair going on so far, relatively. I still hate this part. But moving on, I'm gonna go ahead and look at my eyebrows and my eyes. Okay, so I am up here. I'm gonna go ahead and set this paper on this side. Okay, and with this, you can start with whatever eye you wanna start with first. It doesn't really matter. It's totally up to you. But I think I'm gonna go ahead and start kind of penciling in. First of all, my eyebrow just a little bit. And the reason why I'm starting with my eyebrow first is because it's so close to that edge right there. Okay, so I kind of just want to map out where that goes first because I think it's going to help me with putting my eye in here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, here's the halfway point of my grid right here, the halfway point. Okay, and if I draw a line coming down here, my eyebrow goes past that. Okay, so here's the halfway point on my grid. And then my eyebrow is actually over here, maybe a tiny bit more, right? And so it kind of comes down this in this direction right over here. Okay, and it doesn't really touch this line. It does get very close to it though. And then notice that part of my hair on this side is covering up my eyebrow. So I'm not even going to draw the full thing because I can't see the whole thing. Okay, so the top part of my eyebrow kind of looks like it goes oh so close up to touching that grid line right there and kind of starts to angle down a little bit like that. Okay, this line right here that I drew first is just so I know where to stop it. I'll go back and fix this edge here in a little bit. And then this one kind of goes along here. And I'm just getting the basic shape. Okay, don't color your eyebrows in because we'll do it the same way that we're doing the hair, but we'll get to that part when we're shading. Okay, so don't worry about that part just yet. And then it kind of angles back down this way here. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and erase my little guideline that I used. Okay, while I'm here, I am going to go ahead and kind of start penciling this line in here, and I don't want to do it super dark because this is only a shadow. It's not a harsh line. Okay, so this line kind of comes down here, right, because it follows my eyebrow here, right? So it kind of comes down here, and this is just to help me out later on. And then for me, I kind of have like a double thing, and I think it's because you can see the bridge of my nose and then like the very outward point of my nose and then like the side of my nose. You know what I mean? Like if you have like a triangle, I think this line right here is like this part of the triangle, and this line over here is like this back part of the triangle. Okay, so I'm going to draw the first one here, which means that it's getting relatively close to, not that close though, to my grid line right here. And it kind of is straight here and then angles over like this. And again, I'm just keeping this super, super light for now because later on, it will just be a soft shadow. It won't be a harsh line. Okay, but this is to help me know where to put my shadows in the future. Okay, then, so starting at the same line, then it kind of gets a little bit darker and kind of angles out this way right over here, like that. Okay, so again, remember, this looks a little crazy right now, but this is just my shadowed area so that later on, whenever I get to the shading part, it'll make a lot more sense. Okay, so I'm looking at my eye, and I'm looking here, and if I were to imagine a line going across, perfectly straight across, that's about where my eye hits on mine. Okay, again, yours might be closer to any of these lines here, but mine is hitting about the halfway point, so I'm gonna kind of imagine. Actually, I'm not gonna imagine, I'm gonna fully draw it out. So I have a line kind of going across here like this, okay? And then if I look at my eyes, I know the corners kind of come up a little bit for the lower lid, okay? So I'm gonna draw that accordingly, and notice how close it is to that grid line right there. I'm gonna have it pretty close to mine there. Okay, so it's probably gonna be maybe about here. Okay, and then again, super soft, kind of comes down this way. And then it comes up just a teeny tiny bit, a tiny, tiny bit for me. Okay, again, everybody has differently shaped eyes, right? So right now it looks like I'm sleeping, huh? I'm a sleeping ninja in my picture. Okay, and then, so one of the things I want to think about while I'm drawing the top part of my eyelid is, you remember on the hair how we had like the inner part and the outer part? That's kind of what I'm going to be looking at here. Don't look at both of them and try to draw both of them at the same time because it gets so confusing. And then you end up with like a weird line that's not really either line. Okay, so what I'm going to do first is I'm going to look at the inner line. So that means I'm looking at the white of my eye and the line where my eyelid is from there. Okay, so I'm going to kind of come over here with this. Okay, and then I think I want to say it's right about here or so. That could be wrong, we'll see. Okay, and I'm just drawing the shape that I see here. So the edge on this side looks very curved, right? So it usually when you think of your eyes, you think they kind of go to a point, but in this perspective, my eye looks really rounded on the edge here, so I'm gonna kind of keep that in mind while I'm drawing this, right? And remember, we can always go back and change it if we're like, ooh, that was weird, right? And then this side, it has a much more kind of triangular look to it. Okay, so I'm making sure that I have that done in here. I'm kind of bringing this down here. This side kind of comes up a little bit. And it's all right for now. I don't know if I love it, but I'm gonna work with it. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and sketch in that little corner part of my eye. You know how you have like the white part and then you have like your tear duct. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing on this side too, because it's kind of hard to see, but that's why this area looks a little bit more rounded. So I'm going to kind of bring this in here, like so. Okay, I feel like I made this side a little bit too big, so I'm going to go back and adjust that. Okay, so it's going to kind of come over here. Okay, and then I'm going to start drawing in my iris and my pupil. So the iris is the colored part of your eye, and it hits maybe right about, you know, actually I feel like I'm a little bit high on this, a little too high. So I don't want to get rid of this line because I feel like this is a good line, but I think I'm going to bring this part down here just a little bit. Kind of doing like an inner echo line, because I feel like this is actually might be closer to my top line, even though I said don't look at both of them. I think that I looked at only the inner part, but I think I made it a little bit bigger than what I need it to be. I don't know, I feel like this kind of looks better, guys. Okay, then I'm going to start drawing in my eye. And so remember, if you're drawing in a perfect circle, you can always draw in the air and then lower your pen. Okay, one of the things I'm going to do though is I'm going to just kind of lightly, if I look at my iris, it's not perfectly centered, right? The bottom part of the color part is hitting the bottom lid of my eye. Okay, and then up here I have a very small amount of white space. It's very hard to see, but I have a tiny, tiny bit of white space. So I'm going to make sure that I have a small amount of white space up here. Okay, and then you want to look at how much white space you have on either side of your eye. So this depends on how you're tilted or how you're looking, right? So sometimes if you're looking to the left, you can tell because you have a lot of white space on this side and then not very much white space at all on this side if you're looking over here. Okay, but I'm looking forward, so mine is relatively centered. So we're going to bring this out here. And again, you can always come back and make some adjustments. I feel like that's pretty close. Yeah. Okay, and then I added my pupil here. Ooh, I look so creepy. Okay, and then I'm gonna go ahead and I basically already have my outer eye line, sorry, my top eye line or eyelid going, but I am gonna make it a little bit wider because on my picture, you can see a little bit more, right? And it doesn't totally connect down here. It does connect more so on the side, so I'm gonna have this kind of like little line right here. Okay, and so the cool thing is everybody has slightly different eyes. Like some people have like really deep creases in their eyes. Some people have like not very deep creases at all. Some people have no creases in their eyes. Okay, so this is a little bit darker than what I really want it to be, but I'm gonna roll with this for now. Okay, and then I'm gonna go ahead and add in just a little bit, just the indication of some my eyelashes going on here. Just because that's what I see in mine. But I wanna keep them nice and small. So we don't want it to look like you're wearing fake eyelashes for this, because I don't think you are. Like this. And then I have a tiny, tiny bit on the edge here. Okay, so this is my first eye, which I think I need to work on it a little bit more, but this is what I have so far. Okay, then I would go ahead and start adding, I have a little bit of a line down here, just a little bit. Not really a line, more of a shadow, but I'm adding that in there. I have this shadow here, I have my eyebrow, okay, and then I would start working on my other eye. Okay, so I would look over here. So I'm moving it over to this side. Okay, and I would do the same thing. I would look, and I don't really have any lines to draw for my nose. Okay, but I would look, okay, how is my eyebrow sitting? And again, it's pretty similar, except this time. So here's the middle, right? And it goes just a little bit past that. Find the middle, go a little bit past that. I'm gonna just draw another little line for myself. I think that's about right. Okay. And then I'm going to kind of draw in the basic shape of my eyelid. Remember, we're not coloring these in just yet. And this side looks like a little bit less rounded. Here, and a little bit straighter. So it goes almost up to that grid line again. It kind of angles down here like this. Okay, and then I'm kind of just sketching out what I have here. Okay, and then I would start working on my other eye. Okay, so this is, I'm going to go ahead and stop here for today, but this is how we work through all of the steps on our eyes and our hair. Okay, I'm going to clean up my eye just a little bit more, but this is the beginning steps. So good luck on yours, and I can't wait to see how they turn out.